whom I brought this issue to this parliament and have not yet gotten an answer. And John Minor was invited to Dubai by Monica while he was looking for a job. And then he arrived, he traveled on the 15th May 2023 and then disappeared on the 25th June 2023. And until today, we have not heard of him, and the parents are looking forward to seeing him, and they have used all means to try to trace the young man, and until today, they have never known where he is. So I'm bringing this issue so that we can see if the government can trace of his whereabouts. Thank you.
Do you have the contacts of the Monica?
Yes, I have the contacts of Monica, who invited him.
Okay. Last on this, Joyriders, Wamushomba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to affirm on the case that the Honorable Passaris has talked about, because James Kariuki happens to be my voter from Githunguri. This case, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy that the Prime Cabinet Minister is here, is attracting a lot of foreign attention. Because James was arraigned in court and he was jailed for 2 years for having been involved in electronic fraud. But while he was serving his term in jail in Sharjah, in UAE, another crime was committed using his documents. And now he's been arraigned again and he's been detained for the second crime, not having completed the first jail sentence. And he's supposed to be out with, to pay 2 million Kenya shillings for bond. And of course, he has no papers, he has no visa, he cannot be able to even afford for that. And I understand, Mr. Speaker, and this is to the attention of, please excuse me, you're making a lot of noise. This is to the attention of the Prime Cabinet Minister. I understand that there are so many of our young people in UAE who went there in the invitation of electronic jobs, but have ended up being used for international electronic fraud under coercion of some foreigners. And I understand James is only one victim that is registered and has been arraigned, but there are very many in cells. Can the Prime Cabinet Minister assist us to know whether he's aware of these many children, many young Kenyans in UAE, in cells, and how can we help James and many others that have not been brought to attention? I happen to have contacts of James, the family, and I would be happy to help you, to assist you to sort out this issue.
You can respond to those.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start with the question of Mr. Barake on the examination. This is something we have noted, and we'll communicate and see if our efforts through the diplomatic channels can allow Mr. Barake to do his examinations while the other matters are being attended to. So we will follow that up through the diplomatic channels immediately. On the issue of Parstay, Remoy, I must say that I do not have the specific details on this, and would be happy to get some.
When you get details, you can write to the committee.
We can then now give a more comprehensive response. On the issue raised by the Honorable Passaris, which in a way also ties with the member for Githunguri, I want to state that first, let me acknowledge with appreciation the compliments for the efforts that the ministry has taken to help the ones who are in Myanmar and indeed in some other areas to be brought back. I just want to say something on this, with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. as I conclude, so that perhaps I can help in conveying this message and seeking the help of the parliamentarians to be able to campaign with us to educate our young people as they go out. Now, Mr. James Kariuki, he was arrested in a cyber cafe in Dubai, undertaking the fraudulent activities together with others, as has been pointed out. And electronically, we also have to bear in mind that once your details are violated, it's possible that even if you are here, somebody else will be using your activities. And I have had this kind of experience myself, where at one time, my Visa card was being used in a country that I had not stepped into. And I had to write officially to the institution to confirm to them and give them details of my passport and travel to show that I was never in that country. So once your electronic details are taken, it is possible that somebody can continue misusing those details for their personal gain. So it's important that we all are vigilant on this. We will nevertheless take up the matter again with our mission and see what more can be done to assist in enabling Kariuki to have access to legal support so that he can be able to deal with his challenges. The issue of the hotlines are well taken. On Pareo, again, I would seek that we get proper details because we have no idea who Monica is. So I would appeal that the member can communicate officially with more details to us so that the ministry can have a starting point in the follow-up process of this other individual. Now, Mr. Speaker, the point I wanted to raise, without in any way casting aspersion as to the innocence or guilt of the individuals that are in this particular question, I just want to state that we have over 1,000 Kenyans incarcerated in different countries for various reasons. Some misdemeanors and some serious offenses that have been committed. It is not our wish that we see these Kenyans languishing in various places. But I would like us to acknowledge that it is important that we engage in a collective campaign as leaders to be able to convey, especially to the young people, because we have a demographic issue here. The young people are the ones who are really traveling, and they constitute 70% of our population. They are not informed about certain consequences. It is our duty, collectively, to start conveying messages of awareness to our young people in all our constituencies in the country that they should be cautious, because landing into trouble there can be very painful. You can be isolated, you can be alone, and by the time somebody discovers you are in trouble somewhere, it may be too late. So this is a message that I would want to appeal through you, Mr. Speaker, so that we advise our young people about that. The second point, Mr. Speaker, is the hard truth that also needs to go out. And the hard truth is this, that Parliament, as they allocate resources, Parliament does not allocate resources for the government of Kenya to continuously bail out Kenyans who have landed into the wrong side of the law in various countries. I think it is important for this to be appreciated, because all resource allocation is done here, and therefore our people should know that as much as it's a constitutional obligation to safeguard Kenyans, we must also be realistic and tell Kenyans that they have to obey the law. Once the wheels are up, the law in play is the law of that country. And even here, in our own country, if somebody is on the wrong side of the law, you face the consequences procedurally. So we must also alert our people that we cannot have a society where we are being pressurized. Parliament indirectly is pressurized through the ministry to be providing money, to be bailing out people who have been involved in unlawful activities. So, Mr. Speaker, through you, I just want to appeal that we become cognizant of this and we communicate to our Kenyans so that we don't face further embarrassment as we go forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question 035, 2025, Honorable Cynthia Muge. Yes, Wanjala, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, thank you, because the Minister for Foreign Affairs is here. Mr. Speaker, we people in Busia who live along the lake, people in Kisumu County who live along the lake, people from Abay who live along the lake, and people of Migori who live along the lake, and that is Lake Victoria, which is a shared resource. Mr. Speaker, our people have severally landed into problems just because they have gone to fish. The boundary is not indicated, but they are arrested by the Ugandans who keep on extorting them. If they don't have that money, they are taken to jails in Uganda, and there is many of them there. When you report to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it has really done little, that we go even further as a people to go and raise money to help these people. But they have not intervened as a government that this is a shared resource by our people crossing to come and do fishing, and fish are born fish are bred in Kenya. They only cross into deeper seas, they are arrested. What is the ministry doing to ensure now they show us or they demarcate, because they had started demarcating the boundaries? And I think at that time, Honorable Speaker, you were the Minister for Foreign Affairs at that time when they were trying to demarcate, but it stopped somewhere. When are they going to prioritize to demarcate the boundary between Kenya and Uganda in Lake Victoria?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to say that this process is ongoing. The issue of the demarcation, because we have a department, the KIBO, Kenya International Boundaries Organization, and it's only 2 weeks ago that they gave me a brief on the progress that they are making. Normally, this is a collaborative effort between the countries, and both countries must work in harmony and in tandem. So it's an ongoing process. We have covered substantial parts of our boundaries, but others remain. And the area you mentioned is one of the areas where we are consulting so that we work together with the government of Uganda and indeed even the government of Tanzania when we are looking at the boundaries in the Lake Victoria area. And it's not easy. It's a very expensive exercise, but I want to assure you it's ongoing. However, we will continue with our diplomatic efforts to always mitigate and intervene in areas that you speak of. When I was making reference to the wrong side of the law, Mr. Speaker, I was not talking of the kind of situation that we find ourselves with through the fishing. I was talking of the wrong side of the law where some Kenyans are involved in either drug trafficking, human trafficking, and some of those areas. And I really plead that the Kenyans, especially those who want to go out of the country, please consult with the ministry so that we also advise you on the hotspots in some of these areas, and we avoid you going there because some of them have landed in these difficult areas because they never consulted. Thank you.
Cynthia Muge.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide a report detailing the data and statistics of all children born to Kenyan mothers whom, according to Saudi Arabia laws, are non-citizens, and the steps being taken by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs to process their exit permits? That's question number one. Number two, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether there are any actions to address the challenges faced by stateless children born to Kenyan mothers, particularly in cases where former employers have confiscated the passports of the mothers and ensuring that their rights are fully protected? And the last question, could the Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, state the measures put in place to ensure timely processing of the DNA samples collected from Kenyan mothers and their children, including the timelines of processing and issuance of exit permits for these children? Those are my questions, Honorable Speaker, and the Prime Cabinet Secretary should know that this is a very emotive issue where children who are born to Kenyan mothers living in Saudi Arabia cannot access medical care and cannot access education because they are considered not to be eligibly in the country and do not even have...
after the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to respond as follows. One, the government is apprised of the matter of children born to Kenyan mothers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The number of children born to Kenyan mothers in our records as of now are 388. The processing of exit visas is done by the government of Saudi Arabia upon application by the individual. The mission assists Kenyans with children to apply for the exit visa, negotiate for waiver of the accumulated dependency fees, and follow up until they exit. On the clarity as to whether there are steps taken to address the challenges faced by stateless children born to Kenyan mothers, particularly in cases where former employers have confiscated the passports of the mothers, we wish to respond as follows. A, Article 14.1, as read with clause 30 of the 6th schedule of the Constitution of Kenya, stipulates that a person is a citizen by birth if on the day of the person's birth, whether or not the person is born in Kenya, either the mother or the father of the person is a citizen. This provision outlines the principle of citizenship by parentage, thus granting automatic citizenship to children born abroad to Kenyan citizens. Therefore, in principle, we do not have children born of Kenyans in Saudi Arabia or elsewhere who are stateless. All that the parents need to do so as to apply is to apply for identification documents for them from the embassy in Riyadh or the consulate in Jeddah. 3, in instances where the parents have no passports, they apply for replacement through the embassy. In the alternative, the embassy issues them with emergency travel documents to enable them return to Kenya. Lack of a passport is not an impediment to acquisition of vital documents or repatriation. The third aspect of the question is that As stated earlier, 707 DNA samples for children and their parents were collected for analysis. They were all processed and results shared with the parents to enable them apply for birth certificates and travel documents for the children. And the ministry continues to assist in this process so that we can have the DNA procedures undertaken as soon as possible.
Cynthia?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am a bit confused by the statement or the answer. Of course, I appreciate the efforts and the fact that the ministry is keeping proper records. If not all of it, at least it's appreciated that there's some of it. The other item, that is the question number 2, about the mothers who have had their passports confiscated. You know, I think the Prime Cabinet Secretary is speaking to an ideal situation. Honorable Speaker, I'm trying to address the real situation on the ground in Saudi Arabia. Those mothers have gotten themselves a name called Kemboy. Kemboy means runaways. These are people who have zero documents. And Honorable Speaker, someone who is already running away from I don't know what cannot honestly walk into one of those offices to take part in a whole process that the Prime Cabinet Secretary is speaking to. And again, Honorable Speaker, I would like the Prime Cabinet Secretary to clarify, what do the laws of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia say about citizenship in Saudi Arabia? Because, Honorable Speaker, from where I sit and from the little knowledge I know about the laws of Saudi Arabia, one, you cannot transfer citizenship to that child unless the father actually transfers it to that child in that country, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the other part is about the travel, emergency travel documents. If this was working, Honorable Speaker, we'll have all these women, all these girls who have children running back home if it was as easy as you snap and you get it. So I want clarification on those two matters, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, the other items, I think I'm satisfied with them. The fact that they have been able to collect samples to help them process their documents, I think that is very progressive, and I appreciate the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office for the same.
Dagala?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I just want to ask this, a Kenyan from Shamahoho, Vihiga County, who died in, I think it's in Abu Dhabi, by the name Elizabeth Chausi, of passport holder AK 117992441. I want to know what the ministry is, which steps the ministry is taking, because this is a distressed family, is a family that cannot manage to retrieve the remains of their relative back to Shamahoho for burial. I want the PCS to tell us how the ministry is going to assist this family bring their kin back home to accord her a decent burial. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Raso? Dida Raso?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to ask the PCS. One is about Kenyans registering themselves to the Kenyan embassy in Saudi Arabia. Apparently, a lot of problems we see emanating from different regions. I think Saudi Arabia comes worse. So for that reason, how much registration takes place? And secondly, we sign labor agreement with some of these countries. Why would they confiscate travel documents or passport from Kenyans if they are legally in those countries? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, let's take one more joyrider, the last one on this. Basil?
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you to the CS. We have Kenyan children, Kenyan single mothers whose exit visas for children are denied for bearing key children outside marriage. So what is the ministry doing to sort this particular issue, Mr. Speaker?
What is your question?
I'm talking of exit visas for children who are born outside marriage, detained in Saudi Arabia. So what is the ministry doing about this issue, Mr. Speaker?
Ferdinand, a child is a child whether parents are married or not. Isn't that the case? Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
I've already given to Ferdinand.
Mr. Speaker, I think our country is having a lot of problems, and very many of us have relatives, neighbors, what have you, who have run to the Middle East, Qatar, UAE, of course, and Saudi Arabia. I just want to find out whether the minister could have a program to be able to actually sensitize those who are going to these places before they leave, so that other than asking members of parliament, we may not be able to reach most of the people going to this Middle East, because we have so many Kenyans. I have a cousin of mine who left almost 8 years ago. I don't even know where she is, whether she's dead or alive. But we'll be able to have a program to be able to have people going to Middle East be sensitized on how to handle the situation in the Middle East. Thank you.
PCS, you can answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to revisit the issue of the DNA. The DNA process is very personal, and the details you get out of it, you must make sure are not falling into the wrong hands. So one of the things, as we have done the samples, we take them there. They are given to the individuals in confidence, because sometimes the DNA could prove something else. And one of the issues why this process of DNA verification is very, very rigid with the Saudi government is that there's also worry that some people may be involved in child trafficking. So they are very rigorous in the sense that, and it means that they have had cases, not necessarily from Kenyans, but from other people who have claimed that those are their children, when in fact they may not be their children, and this has caused the challenge that we are facing as Kenya today. But I want to state that when I said moving to present documents, it is to the Kenyan embassy. If a Kenyan comes to a Kenyan embassy and says that I've lost my papers, there'll be no other conditionality. In fact, there's no conditionality at all. We'll start processing and verifying, because there are mechanisms to do so. So I just want to assure that the others will continue to sensitize, that we are talking of them reporting to the Kenyan embassy and not to another embassy for them to get assistance. I also want to point out that we will look at the detail for the person from Shamahoho. We will follow up on that so that we can communicate to the House on that specific individual. I would also say the same. I think there was another person as well. There was somebody, Elizabeth Chausi. We are able to send funds to them for repatriation, Elizabeth Chausi. Now, I also, the Honorable Russo, you raised a very fundamental issue, that the frequency of concerns of issues emanating from some of these areas. Indeed, it is a matter we have now taken very seriously because it's a pattern. and we are engaging from a diplomatic angle to refine our engagement with them so that we can have a process, a stage where we have eliminated this kind of challenges that we are facing. Because some people have gone innocently to work and they find themselves in very awkward predicaments. We are also working very closely with law enforcement agencies. This is the DCI. We want to work also with the EACC and others, because some of the entities that have been luring Kenyans without the due process, without the due procedure, are some of those that have caused this kind of situation that we are facing, where Kenyans move in and they are not processed properly. For instance, the ministry has what we'd call pre-departure protocols to advise them on what to expect, as the Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi was saying, with their process to be sensitized before they leave. There are some who prefer not to go through the process, and they find their way there because there's no limitation legally to prevent a Kenyan from moving. If a Kenyan wishes to go somewhere and they don't announce it, there's nothing you can do about it. But it's all really a question of sensitizing them so that we can have less and less of this challenge. But I want to reemphasize that it is absolutely important because we want all our Kenyans to be safe. The issue of human trafficking, the issue of drugs, the issue of being taken and being inducted into slave labor, including the process of being hired to engage in cyber fraud. These are very real threats to our young people, and it is important that we communicate. There was an ambassador in Kenya who once said, actions have consequences. It is important for us to really remind our young people that their actions have consequences. We don't want to lose them. Thank you.
Odhiambo. Elisha Odhiambo,
thank you
for GEM.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is, I think he's reading 46 of 2025, but he should read 36 of 2025 if we are to follow the chronology. Mr. Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary, Roman 1, state the measures the government is taking to ensure that children born abroad to Kenyans are recognized as citizens? Roman 2, explain how the government is supporting the economic participation of Kenyan born in foreign countries, particularly in acquiring property, securing employment, and harnessing their skills and expertise for national development. Roman 3, state strategies in place to establish a streamlined integration process for Kenyan born abroad, granting them equal rights, legal protection, and access to national systems like other citizens. Thank you.
PCS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to respond as follows, and you may note that some of the issues I raise have also been canvassed in the immediate question, but let me proceed as follows. Once again, I wish to state that Article 14.1, as read with Clause 30 of the 6th Schedule of the Constitution of Kenya, stipulates that a person is a citizen by birth if on the day of the person's birth, whether or not the person is born in Kenya, either the mother or father of the person is a citizen. This provision, as I said, outlines the principle of citizenship by parentage, thus granting automatic citizenship to children born abroad to Kenyan citizens. For them to obtain official documents like birth certificates, passport, national ID, parents are required to register their births with the government of Kenya. These documents are issued in most of the missions abroad where Kenyans can freely access them. And as we speak, applications are now done via the e-citizen platform and thus centralized. Additionally, the State Department for Diaspora Affairs carries out regular mobile consular services, outreach to take services to the diaspora in countries where we have high populations of Kenyans. The program takes a one government approach as it onboards government agencies to provide essential government services like the issuance of passports, IDs, birth certificates, certificates of good conduct, DNA sampling, among others, and we do it as a holistic approach. The second aspect of the question is how the government is supporting the economic participation of Kenyans abroad, particularly in acquiring property, securing employment, and contributing their skills and expertise to national development. Mr. Speaker, the government has implemented several initiatives to support the economic participation of Kenyans born abroad, recognizing the significant role in national development. These initiatives are many and varied, and they include, among others, first, it should be recognized that since independence, we never had the State Department of Diaspora Affairs. This is now in place, a department that is dedicated to facilitating and supporting Kenyans in the diaspora. This department has also launched the Kenya Diaspora Policy 2024, and in the policy, we articulate the government's commitment to engage with the Kenyan diaspora, aiming to integrate them into the national development agenda. It focuses on protecting their rights, engaging through partnerships, empowering them through job placements, and prospering them through investments. We have also developed a diaspora investment strategy, and this strategy aims at creating a framework that focuses on attracting diaspora investments, facilitating their engagement in Kenya's economic activities, and ensuring that their contributions are effectively integrated into our development plans. We have also been undertaking various diaspora investment promotions with Kenyans in different countries. We are also contemplating, Mr. Speaker, the issuing of a diaspora bond. The government is planning to launch a diaspora bond. This will enable Kenyans abroad to invest in priority projects back home in areas like infrastructure and housing. This conversation is going on with the Treasury and also with the institutions like MIGA of the World Bank. We have, Mr. Speaker, also broadened digital access to government services, and the government has digitized over 16,000 public services which are accessible via e-citizen platform. They include property registration and verification, business registration, tax return filing, and many more, which the diaspora can easily access and monitor their investments back home. There is also the aspect of dual citizenship. The government, in recognizing the importance of identity and investment, has made it easier to regain citizenship for Kenyans who lost citizenship after acquiring other nationalities. This has encouraged a greater economic participation. On matters of the global labor market, the department aims at enhancing employment opportunities for Kenyans abroad while safeguarding their rights and welfare. It also aims at aligning the skills of Kenyan workers with global labor market demands, ensuring that they meet international standards. The approach not only creates employment, but leverages the diaspora contribution to Kenya's socioeconomic growth by fostering knowledge, skills, and technology. We are creating the creation of the Diaspora Placement Agency, created in 2023, to focus on supporting Kenyans seeking jobs out there. We are also engaging in a diaspora exchange program, which offers short-term assignments for diaspora professionals in Kenya, technical and vocational education training institutions, and it focuses on transferring digital skills in areas like software development and data science. We also have the Konza Technopolis, and it contributes to skills and expertise in this area. Mr. Speaker, we've been going to an area where we even have the nomadic visas to allow Kenyans working even in different areas to be able to work from different countries and earn a living. Finally, what are the strategies in place to establish a streamlined integration process for Kenyans born abroad, guaranteeing them equal rights, legal protection, and access to national systems like other citizens? Mr. Speaker, we have reviewed the diaspora policy for 2024, and in the policy framework, we want to guarantee the protection of welfare and rights and continuous engagement and empowerment of Kenyans in the diaspora to realize their prosperity. This is in line with the government's constitutional mandate to protect citizens, whether within Kenya or abroad. The dual citizenship aspect, which I've already talked to. There's also continuous inclusive national engagement. We have more or less made it a tradition now that whenever we have state visits or critical visits from Kenyan government officials, we encourage diaspora engagements by Kenyans as they go out. We are also working on career and economic integration. This is spelled out in our policy so that we can broaden and facilitate integration of the Kenyan workforce and education institutions to enhance skills and technology transfer. I've also talked about the mobile consular services earlier, and of course, the enhancement of use of technology to move forward. Mr. Speaker, as you are also aware, that we have been progressively facilitating Kenyans abroad to also exercise their democratic right of voting when the election cycle is due. Thank you.
Yes, Alicia?
Mr. Speaker, I think I'm largely satisfied. Initially, there was a rigmarole in terms of having to come back home and apply.
If you are satisfied, no speech. You sit down. Yeah? Yes. You are satisfied. If the owner of the question is satisfied, do we need joyriders? We don't need joyriders.